Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line, Corey and Benny. Benny, I don't know about you, but I just stepped outside this morning, and there was a twitch of autumn in the air. It felt like football weather.
Yeah, no, I actually brought out the jacket, I think, for the first time in about, I don't know, 5-6 months or so. I had the North Face on, standing on the corner waiting for my kid's bus to get there this morning. So I feel you. It's getting a bit nippy out there, Corey.
No doubt. So we got a lot of stuff to go over today. We're getting some of these backup quarterbacks that are making starts this week. Obviously, we got a dud of a Thursday night football game. And but I want to start off with told you situation yesterday about the FAAB bids and whatever. Then later on in the day we heard about Marlon Mack missing practice with the tight hammy. So I had to add Jordan Wilkins too, because I'm a Marlon Mack owner in this said league. So I put a $301 bid in on Nelson Aguilar. I got him, you know what I'm saying, and I also was able to get Jordan Wilkins. I'm down to $200 in FAAB left going into week 3. It's not ideal, Benny, but I looked at the situation where $260 was the next closest bid for Aguilar. I looked at the situation where, Benny, where, you hate to do it in week 3, but I got a matchup in week 3 that I feel as if I need to win to have a tiebreaker advantage down the stretch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you got to kind of look at, your schedule. You got to kind of look at – you also have to kind of look at it here. When you're picking guys up in week 1, week 2, week 3, you got them for 10, 12 weeks. A lot of times if you're waiting, sometimes you pick a guy up in week 8 and you got to blow the whole FAAB on him because something happens and, really you only got him for a couple weeks right there. So at least you're going to get a good stretch out of some of these guys. And honestly, this could be the week that Nelson Aguilar goes off because I'm looking at that depth chart for the Eagles right now. It's tough.
No, it really is. And the Eagles had a lot of steam coming into the year. I think people have seen Dallas play, albeit against lesser opponents, and I feel like Philadelphia is losing some of that steam as Dak and the boys are putting up these big numbers. But listen, the two teams play, I believe, in week 7, Benny. I think it'll probably be the early season showdown game.
Listen, I think both. I don't think it's an argument that the two of them are the class of the NFC East. I think they're the two best teams easy. So really,
it's the class of the NFC. Or is the Rams? Or you think the Rams?
I'm still a fan of the Rams.
Yeah.
I think whoever comes out of the Central is going to be, solid defensively and have enough offense to kind of, hang with those teams. But if I had to guess right now, I would say the Rams against one of those two teams is probably the way the NFC Championship game is.
Yeah, no doubt. I would agree with you on that. So Demarcus Robinson was a big name last night. He was garnering most of the bids. I can see why, but they use a lot of pieces in that offense, Benny.
Yeah, I see. This is my biggest problem. I said the same thing with Mecole Hardman last week. It's like he's going to be good, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is otherworldly. Anybody who thought Mahomes was going to regress, I don't really see any signs of that so far to this point in the year. And without Tyreek Hill in there, you're going to have – even with Tyreek Hill in there last year, like you're always going to have multiple guys in this offense that wind up popping. And it's tough for a defensive coordinator because, all right, Sammy Watkins had the huge first week. Let's concentrate on him a little bit. And then you have these other guys that are just burning down the field that, Mahomes has the big arm and can just reach him and, boom, next thing you know, like that game the other day, the second quarter, 4 touchdown passes, all of like 40 yards or more. They score so fast. They move the ball up the field so fast because they have those deep threats on the team. All those guys are capable of catching one. It's tough for fantasy because any week, it could be Mecole Hardman who catches 2 long touchdowns. It could be Sammy Watkins. It could be Demarcus Robinson. I understand why people want him. I do think he has more upside than Nelson Aguilar does. So, I don't think it was crazy that he was the guy that was taking most of the wide receiver money this week.
Yeah. Aguilar obviously was a big play, but like you said, not as big as Robinson. Marquise Goodwin on a lot of wires too, and so was your man Charlie Wilson. Jeff Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got Jeff Wilson on the free bid afterwards. Nobody even took him. I took him. I said, "What the hell, man? If he's going to be getting some red zone work, he's at least worth stashing on my bench right now."
We'll talk about it more tonight, but in San Francisco, it's just numbers. It's just like running back, wide receiver. There's really no names attached to it. And like I said, we'll talk about it tonight on a live stream over at Elite Fantasy, Benny. But I think this is a good week to play your San Francisco 49er wide receivers.
I got Debo.
This
I
is
got my boy Debo in there. Yeah,
this,
I got my boy Debo in there. Debo's been the guy that's actually been their most targeted wide receiver, playing the most snaps. I mean, listen, you and I were both down on Dante Pettis early in the year. Like, I didn't understand why he was being drafted as high as he was. And we were getting Debo around pick 170, 180, like 16th, 17th round right there. Like I said, I think Debo Samuels and Geronimo Allison ended up as my two highest owned receivers. Basically because I was just taking them late in drafts when other people didn't want them. Geronimo around, like pick 10, pick 11, 11th round, and, Debo around 15, 16, where we were able to get him. Geronimo hasn't really worked out so far, but Debo, it looks like he's a late round steal for a lot of those teams. He was in my top lineup last week, or, my best ball lineup on basically every team I had him on. So that was good.
Yeah, no doubt. He did come through last week. So that's, a preview of some of the things we'll discuss tonight. All right, Benny. Let's start with Daniel Jones versus the Buccaneers. How you feel about it?
I like it. Listen, Daniel Jones give the Giants offense something that they haven't had, right? Because he can actually – well, yeah, a good quarterback. But, I mean, he can actually use his legs too, which is going to help the entire offense out because he's not a statue. He's not going to just stand there. He's not just going to fling the ball out there in 3 seconds because he doesn't want to take a hit. This is a guy that can make some plays. I don't know how much people watched him in the preseason, but like I said, he looked like the better quarterback coming into the year. And I don't think it was much of a question. And I think that's why they're going to him so early. So I do think the Giants offense is going to be better. Do I think he's going to go out there and put up, 35 fantasy points and be the next Patrick Mahomes? No, I definitely don't. I think he's going to give you what, Gardner Minshew gave you. I think he's going to give you 250 yards passing, maybe a touchdown or two. He's a rookie, right? So he is probably going to make a mistake here or there. You got to look for, maybe an interception or two or a fumble or something if he, misses the coverage. But the kid's good. He went to Duke. He's smart. He can read defenses. The biggest problem a lot of people say he's going to have, Corey, is that he's somebody who tries to get the ball out right away and kind of locks in on a receiver. So we'll see if that is a problem. Teams that might play zone against them may be able to kind of trick him into thinking that, something's going on and then make him, force a throw. Again, the kid's a rookie. If you're a Giants fan, I think you got to be happy because I think he's better than Eli Manning. I think he's going to be better for this offense than Eli Manning. But the biggest problem is look at who he has out there on the field with him. Like, okay, Saquon Barkley, but what is it, Cody Core and Benny Fowler? Like, that's not really NFL wide receiver.
Sterling Shepard going through the concussion protocol still. But he was on the field yesterday. There's a chance he can play this weekend. That would be good for Mr. Daniel Jones. The Giants, New York wanted a celebrity athlete from Duke University to join them in the fall, and we got one.
Wasn't Zion, but,
we got one. You know what I'm saying? Oh, should I say they got one? Oh, man. You know what, Benny? That's about a month from now, and, boy, Zion is going to be everywhere because his NBA career is getting ready to start. And I think the season starts on the 20th. Today's the 19th. Yeah, so
yeah. We're literally about a month from the beginning of NBA, yeah.
Yep, man, that's the beginning of the year, the rookie year of Zion. All right, Bucks laying 6.5 to Daniel Jones and the Giants. No bet, Bucks or Giants.
Again, I'm probably not betting this, but if I did, I would be on the Giants. Give me the points with the Giants.
I would agree with you on that. All right, up next, Benny, Kyle Allen is the young man's name. He takes on the Cardinals, going to be the starter for the Carolina Panthers this week. It is kind of a, why didn't they start Will Greer was my first thought. Mm-hmm. But now we get Kyle Allen taking the team on the road against the Arizona team that has played well the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I thought that was it. They used a third-round pick to get Will Greer this year, I think. Yep. He was supposed to be the guy that's their, heir apparent to Cam Newton in the future. So maybe they didn't like what they saw out of him right now that they're letting Kyle Allen go out there. So here's the deal. For me, with the exception of probably Christian McCaffrey, I think this hurts everybody, all the pass catchers at least, on Carolina. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're going to ask – again, it's not like Cam was slinging it around either, but I don't think they're going to ask this kid to try to win the game for him. I think what they're going to try to do is see if they can just ride McCaffrey and win the game that way and kind of get through the week. So maybe his yards per carry or yards per touch aren't going to be as high because I think the other team kind of figures they're going to lean on him heavily too. But I think it's going to be like a Le'Veon Bell situation last week with the Jets where, you had your backup and your third-string quarterback in and you just kind of fed your horse. And I think that's going to be Christian McCaffrey this week. I think he's going to get fed. I wouldn't doubt if he has 25-plus touches in this game. But I do think it's going to affect the number of passes that they throw. And even the passes that they throw, they're not going to be like slinging it around. It's going to be short, quick, easy passes, dump offs to the running back, maybe some short stuff underneath to the wide receivers or the tight ends. I still think you start DJ Moore, but he's probably like a wide receiver 3 this week. I would not be looking to play Curtis Samuels. Greg Olsen, I know he's had some big games here, but I kind of feel like – I don't feel like this is a positive for Greg Olsen. Do you?
I actually like Greg Olsen this week. This Allen kid, he started week 17 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Got a W. He didn't look bad. Now, week 17 against the Saints was playing, the taxi squad.
Second string, yeah.
Yeah. So here's my thing with Allen. He's healthy. Cam,
true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Cam wasn't. That's true.
Cam, yeah. So this game opened up as Carolina as a 2-point favorite. It's now flipped where the Cardinals are a 2.5-point favorite. Benny, if that number gets to 3.5, I'm back in Carolina.
Are you? When we talked about this the other day, I was on the Cardinals side of this one when they were getting points. I said take the money line on them. So I'm sitting on it wasn't big though. It might have been like plus 142 or something like that I got. So I'm sitting on that right now. So I'm good on this game. I'm on the Carolina side. I got in before the move. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. Yeah, you know what? I might even throw money because now you're probably getting plus money on Carolina, right?
Getting Carolina at plus 114 via FanDuel.
It's not enough for me to middle it and see what the hell's going on. But yeah, I mean, listen, Arizona at home. I mean, I love Christian McCaffrey, but I'm not betting on a team with a backup quarterback. I'll take Arizona still.
Yeah, no doubt. I can dig it. I think it's going to be kind of a trend this week, Benny, because I see myself more and more as I'm looking at this weekend's NFL card. I see myself thinking about it more and more. This could be the week of backup quarterbacks. The Steelers go to San Francisco to face the 49ers. Mason Rudolph gets the start. The San Francisco 49ers are one of the worst. Well, let me not say that. They're stout against the run, but they give it up in the air.
Yes.
The 49ers. And I think that Mason Rudolph can come in there and get the job done. They're catching 6.5 on the road. I like the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm on the San Francisco side of this game. I mean,
even at 6.5?
At 6.5, again, I'm not taking that 6.5. I teased it down to half a point.
Mm-hmm.
At 6.5, I probably don't bet, but I do think San Francisco wins this game. I think people are sleeping on San Francisco because they don't have a lot of big names on that offense. But that offense, everybody's contributing. They're getting stuff out of 2 or 3 different wide receivers. They're getting stuff out of 2 or 3 different running backs. They got one of the best tight ends in the league in Kittle, and he's been doing all right. Jimmy G is not great, but he's better than your average quarterback there. They remind me a lot of the New England Patriots. It's just you got a whole bunch of guys that are pretty good. They run a system, and the guys in the system all just kind of produce. So fantasy-wise, I probably won't have any exposure to this game really. But in real life, I do think that this is an offense that's going to keep putting up points. I think they're going to have 4 or 5 guys every game that, have a couple catches, have a chance to get in the end zone, get a couple red zone targets. It's tough to nail it down for fantasy, but again, look at what they've done the first couple weeks. This is an offense that's been scoring. They've been doing it in multiple ways. They've been doing it on the ground. They've been doing it through the air. Like, the thing that makes them tough to defend, Corey, is that there's no one thing that they do. It's not just like, well, we know this team's going to try to pass on us 50 times, or we know this team's going to try to run on us 50 times. They're going to do whatever is working, and they're going to do it with whatever guys are playing well at the time. So for fantasy, it sucks. But in real life, I think this team is pretty good.
I agree with a lot of what you said about their offense and about their run-stopping ability. I would look at the fact that they went from undervalued in week 1 and week 2 to overvalued in week 3.
Well, that's why I don't like the 6 points.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we looked at this game at the beginning of the season, you would have thought the Steelers would be favored on the road going into San Francisco. Now, again, there's no Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe no James Conner, which is something else we got to keep an eye on here. But still, you would have thought even without those guys, what are they worth? Maybe 3 or 4 points. Like, you still would have thought this game would be closer to a pick'em than San Francisco favored by almost a touchdown. That's a pretty big number and a pretty big swing. So that I agree with. You're right.
New Orleans takes a trip into Seattle, Pacific Northwest. They haven't named a starter yet. They were like, it's between Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill. I find that to be interesting, Benny. Teddy Bridgewater is the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL. He will play this week. That's the way I look at it. But I'm quite sure they do have some packages for Hill.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill is going to get some snaps. They're going to run some Wildcat. They're going to run some, RPOs with them. They're going to work them into the game plan one way or another. But I would be shocked if Teddy Bridgewater is not under center for this game, at least for, 25 pass attempts at some point.
Benny, at least to validate the salary.
Yeah, I mean, $7.5 million to be a backup quarterback. Your starting quarterback goes down. You would think that's a no-brainer on who's going to go in there. Now, do you buy into the fact that do you think that they really already know who's going to start and how it's going to work out, or this is just like smoke and mirrors? Because to me, I feel like they already know what they're going to do this week. Maybe they're just playing some games that, kind of force Seattle to prepare for the running quarterback in case. You know what I mean?
The head coach is Sean Payton. They know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's enough right there. The head coach is not one of these dudes that don't know what they're doing. Super Bowl champion head coach. I agree with you 100%, Benny. They know what they're doing, but they're just not letting the Seahawks get onto their game plan. Oh man, the Saints catching 4.5. It's intriguing to me, Benny. I'll be honest with you. I think the Seahawks could blow them out though.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. Like, normally I don't like taking numbers over 3 on the Seahawks, so I probably won't bet.
Seahawks don't blow teams out.
Well, that's the thing, is the Seahawks basically try to grind games down and then beat you in the fourth quarter. So you're never really going to see the Seahawks, win by 3 touchdowns. I would like, if Seahawks were ever a huge spread, I would never want to take it. But I do think they win this game. I mean, listen, Seattle looks pretty good. We know that they have a solid run game. We know that they have Russell Wilson. DK Metcalf down the side of the field is going to be problems for teams stretching defenses. If that opens up things underneath, so guys like Will Dissly can get 2 touchdowns, or Tyler Lockett can run some of those crossing routes underneath. They have all the pieces to be a very good offense, and they have intelligent coaches that use their guys the right way. So I think this is a pretty good team. I like Seattle. I just don't like Seattle with big numbers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I may play with the money line a little bit to see if I can find a money line parlay to throw them on it. Listen, I think the Saints are solid, and they're very solid playing a teaser, but I don't think I can cash that 4.5 with them. We talked about Daniel Jones. That leads us to tonight, right? Well, do we have to talk about Luke Falk?
No, we do not have to. I'm a Jets fan. We do not have to talk about Luke Falk. Listen, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, I still don't really think Luke Falk is somebody you want this week. They're in a 2-quarterback league right now. There are 2 quarterbacks that I don't want to play this week. One of them's Luke Falk, and the other one is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah. Any other quarterback playing, I think if you're in a 2-quarterback league, the guy's viable. If you got him, throw him in there. I would, if you have to go get Luke Falk this week, I got to be honest, your team's in trouble.
Benny, if you were a starter on the Miami Dolphins right now, would you be calling your agent asking them to trade you?
You know what? I might, and I'm going to tell you why, Corey, because football is the kind of game where one play can end your career.
Bingo. You cannot tank in football. That's
what I'm saying. Like one guy not doing his job, one guy not playing hard could lead to something bad happening to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So in football, I would. If I'm on a basketball team that's 10-65, I'm probably not calling my agent and being like, yo, get me out of here right away. I would probably still be fine playing it out. If I'm on a baseball team that's, won 50 games, I may not be there. But in football, it's different because, like you said, any one play could be the end of your career and the end of you making money doing what you do.
It's really a bad look in the NFL because you got a situation where, like you said, it's too violent of a game. It's a team sport. It's a dangerous game. Your career could end on the next play. Not only is the guy next to you possibly not up to the caliber of NFL standard of a player, but he could also be like, you know what, screw this. You know what I'm saying? And not play his 100%. You got the Dolphins players have to be very careful. They're being put in a very bad situation. Now, with that being said, by the same token, before we overreact to this, Benny, they have played like they started the season with the 3 best teams in the NFL, really.
Yeah, that is true. They have had a pretty tough schedule here. Listen, here's what I'm going to say. Like, I don't think the guys in the Miami Dolphins yet, especially not at this point, have really quit. You know, these are professional athletes. And the thing is, even if you're on a crappy team, Corey, you know this, you want to get good things on tape. Yeah, because other teams will watch you and they'll be like, hey, I know that team sucked, but, you know, this guy was able to block up the gap. This guy was able to, you know, open holes in the run game. This guy was doing good pass blocking, even if everybody else around him couldn't stop anybody. Teams are going to see the good players. Like Minkah Fitzpatrick, just because the Dolphins sucked, it's not like people didn't know Minkah Fitzpatrick was a good player and that, you know, he was going to bring it in. You know, the same thing with Howard if somebody wants to trade for him as well. Like, there are pieces on this team that are good players, and those guys are also thinking about their own careers. It's like, hey, listen, I'm not going to be a Miami Dolphin forever. I got a 2-year deal. I got a 3-year deal, whatever it is. At some point, I'm going to be a free agent, and if people look back on this season and see that I quit or that I was the one that was getting my ass kicked because I wasn't playing hard, that's going to cost me money down the road. So these are professional athletes that are getting paid to go out there and do it. It sucks for them because nobody likes to lose. But at this point in the season, I don't think anybody's quit yet. It's just, dude, it's going to get tough when you start grudging on and you're 0-8, 0-9, and you've taken 5 or 6 beatings. It's tough to get up in the morning and fight through injuries and, you know, give 110% when you're in that situation.
You're right. I was reading a story yesterday about Vontae Davis. You know, Vontae Davis famously quit at halftime last year. It was kind of like a year since that happened. It kind of like went back to reflect on it. And he was like, I'm having the time of my life. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, it was his girlfriend or fiance one day. He was just sitting there in pain. And she was like, you know, you don't have to do this no more. And he was like, really? And she was like, you don't have to do this no more. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to do this. Benny, you're seeing more and more. I think in the next CBA, they're going to put something in there to not combat, but to kind of give themselves some leverage to get out of these contracts when these players retire early.
Yeah, and I don't think it's wrong to do so. I mean, again, football is a very violent game. Like, you only play 16 games a year. When I hear all this talk about them trying to add games and stuff like that, I keep saying, just look where we are now, Corey. We're not even a month into the season. And look at all the carnage that we have right now.
It's backup quarterback starting this week, Benny.
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
this is not ready to do that don't get hit.
Yeah, and this is not, yeah, right, exactly. Like, if you two-hand touch him, I don't know if you saw the thing I tweeted with Jamal Adams yesterday.
That's crazy. Jamal Adams was right to be upset about that.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that hit. But, you know, that's one of the biggest things right now. When they try to add, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to add some regular season games. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you're just not going to be able to do it. As it is, teams can't keep guys healthy for an entire season. So I don't really understand where it's coming from. But like you said, I mean, dude, we watched Andrew Luck, one of the best in the game, pretty much in the prime of his career, right? Like, quarterbacks around age 29, 30, that's when you actually understand what you're supposed to be doing, and you still have the physical talents to actually do it. You know what I mean? Pretty much in the prime of his career, walk away and just be like, listen, I made enough money. I want to be able to wake up without having, you know, headaches and my whole body hurting. I mean, we've seen all these guys, what happened to all the guys that played in the 70s and 80s, you know, a lot of them having these brain injuries and things like that and, you know, really struggling late in life. So, you know, I don't blame these guys for walking away. Like Vontae Davis' girlfriend was like, listen, we got enough money, you know. Put it this way, Corey, if you're an average person out there, the average salary, the median salary in this country is like $50,000.
It keep you going back to work.
Yeah, so you have to work. You have to work 20 years at $50,000 to make $1 million. Most of these guys are making $1 million, if not more, in 1 or 2 seasons of the NFL. So you make $2 or $3 million. All right, yeah, maybe you're not living in a penthouse and driving Porsches and going crazy, but
you ain't punching no clock.
Yeah, you're not punching a clock, and you're basically making the salary that every normal American makes. So you can live, you can have a decent house with a white picket fence and a car in your driveway, and you know, you could always go do some radio stuff or whatever and make a couple extra bucks. That's not a bad life, you know what I mean?
No doubt. All right, so tonight, Gardner Minshew, home game versus the Tennessee Titans. Another backup quarterback. Minshew has looked pretty good so far. I think the Jaguars win the game tonight, Benny.
Well, if you think the Jaguars win the game, you got to like Minshew, right? Or do you think it's going to be – because I think it's going to be tough for them to run on this Tennessee defense, but I do think they'll be able to throw it a little.
That's what I'm thinking too. That they're probably, they'll slam Leonard Fournette into the line a couple times to keep him honest. But I think Minshew can get out on this Tennessee Titans secondary. And I just don't like Tennessee traveling on a short week. Don't get me wrong, the travel is in a division, and it's only Tennessee to Jacksonville. But I listen, I tell you what I'm betting right now. On FanDuel, they got the single game parlays, Benny. I am taking the Jaguars over 20.5 points.
Okay.
And I'm taking the Titans under 19.5. No, I'm taking the Jaguars over 19.5, and I'm taking the Titans under 20.5.
Okay. What? So the total on this game is what? 40?
38.
Wow, it came down. I think it started at like 40, so it's actually come down a little bit. Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game, right? I think there's going to be a lot of running on both sides. I think that Tennessee will run it a little more successfully than Jacksonville will. So I think Jacksonville will have to go to the air here. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Marcus Mariota, but I do like Tennessee is kind of like Seattle, right? They're going to play ugly, low-scoring games. They're going to grind it with you. They're going to make it so that in the fourth quarter, it's a one-score kind of game, and anybody can kind of walk away from it. So I don't have much in the way of bets on this game tonight. I will look a little bit at Derrick Henry probably to score the first touchdown and, see what his prop is to score a touchdown at all in this game. That's probably the way I'm going to play this game tonight. I don't think I'm betting on the over or, who's going to win or any of that stuff today.
Yeah, so that's how I'm going to carry it right there. The Derrick Henry touchdown prop is also going to be a popular bet tonight. It's coming in on FanDuel at -105. I don't have no problem with that. Me and Benny will break down this game and further tonight at beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Elite Fantasy live stream. So you want to go over there and sign up and be a part of those broadcasts right there on Thursday night. Have a good time getting you ready for the week upcoming in the game of the night and for the upcoming weekend slate in DFS. Benny, you did the tight ends this week again?
Yeah, I haven't finished it up. It's due tomorrow. So today I'm more looking at – I basically looked mostly at the Thursday night game that you and I are talking about on the live stream tonight. That was kind of where my head was most of last night.
No doubt.
I can throw some tight – I mean, if you had some tight end questions, I could probably answer some of them.
I'm just curious about Tyler Eifert. That's it. My own personal thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said to you yesterday, the big thing with Tyler Eifert is he's touchdown dependent, right? So, GPP play in terms of daily fantasy, in terms of season long
backup for David Njoku.
So that would be Demetrius Harris, right?
Would you play? No, I said if you needed to.
Yeah. I would definitely. And Njoku is going to be out, so I would definitely play. Actually, it wasn't a concussion. I don't know if you saw that yesterday. He did something to his wrist on that play when he landed. I think he broke his wrist or something like that. Wow. He might be out for a while, bro. I know you have him on one of your teams. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I do on one of the Kings Classic team. Who should I pick up?
I mean, Demetrius Harris is the guy coming in for him. I don't think there's a lot of upside there. I'm assuming somebody may have him. This is deep league or no?
I'll tell you right now, it's 14 teams. You know what I'm saying, Benny?
All right. I was going to say, if Chris Herndon's out there, he comes back from suspension in another week or two. Ben Watson comes back in suspension for a week or two. Those are guys that might be on the waiver wires. Demetrius Harris is the tight end that's going to be taking over for Njoku. Again, just double check on how long Njoku's out for before you go and drop him to pick up Demetrius Harris. I don't think Demetrius Harris has anywhere near the upside Njoku does. Let me ask you this question, Corey, because we thought Njoku was going to be a guy that had a decent amount of targets on this team, right?
Last year, I felt that way. I didn't feel that way this year.
Okay, so here's the question that I have, though. Like, Jarvis Landry's basically been crap the first couple weeks of the season.
Same
and
thing.
I said this was going to happen because when you take two number ones and put them on the team, the history has shown us one guy is going to get his targets. The other guy is going to suffer because somebody else is getting the targets. Odell Beckham's definitely getting the targets. Jarvis Landry hasn't been. He's been the guy that suffered. Do you think going from Njoku to Demetrius Harris, do you think that Harris is going to see the same target share that Njoku would have seen? Or do you think there's some extra now that could go to a guy like Jarvis Landry and make him in the slot a little more.
I think it's the Jarvis. I like the Jarvis Landry theory more than I like the next man up as far as the tight end position goes.
So then Jarvis Landry would be a very good buy low candidate if that's the way you're thinking right now, because right now the Jarvis Landry owner in your league is pissed off.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. So, I mean, he might be a guy that's a target. See if you can pry him out there for, something that you have on your team that you don't really need if you're dealing from excess somewhere. Jarvis Landry might be a guy that could have a little bit better next 14 games than he has first 2 games, I
tell you what's on my waiver wire. Kyle Rudolph, Jason Witten, Will Disley. And then you got the 2 Rams tight ends.
I honestly kind of like Will Disley a little bit.
I agree with you, Benny.
And I know, it's a bad week to chase him because of the 2 touchdowns. I don't want people to think that, oh, man, Benny says, Benny thinks this guy's going to get touchdowns every week. But he was running a lot of routes, and he is part of this offense. You know what I mean? It's not – we were worried that it was going to be like him and – what's the guy's name? Nick Vannett. Him and Vannett kind of sharing snaps and carries or snaps and routes and all that. It's been a lot better for Disley, and again, the touchdown equity is always nice. This is the thing I like about this offense, though, Corey. With Lockett in there, he draws a lot of attention. DK Metcalf, I know, whether you like DK Metcalf or not, he is athletic. He can stretch the field. He does force teams to have to defend deep. When you force teams to defend deep, it's usually the safety that stays back, which means there's more underneath for the tight end to work with. So I do think Disley is going to be a pretty decent option. A great option, no. Is he going to probably – have we already seen his ceiling game? Probably. I don't think he's going to have another 2-touchdown game like that. But for the names on the list, I like him more than I like Rudolph in the team that runs too much. And really, Jason Witten had 5 targets. 3 of them happened to be in the red zone. 2 of them happened to get in the end zone. I know he's your boy, Dallas Cowboys and all that, but I do not see the upside for Witten other than
he's a 1 for 6 in a touchdown.
Yes, that's exactly what he is.
All right. Well, yesterday I did the beat writer survey, and I'm not supposed to be doing this, but every week I give you Elite Mafia a little peek behind the paywall. Will Disley snagged the pair of touchdown catches in week 2. Was that more game plan or a possible sign of Disley being a possible goal line target? This is the reply. The latter. When it comes to passing in the red zone, Disley is Seattle's best option. At some point, DK Metcalf will emerge as a legitimate threat in that department. But for now, Disley's the guy because of how big and athletic he is, coupled with his soft hands. He's a good blocker, so he can line up in heavy packages on the goal line, sneak out of the backfield, and make plays as a receiver that way. Full disclosure, I picked up Disley in my league this week.
Okay, there you go. And that's from the beat writer from Seattle. So, there's apparently other people who are on board with it. Corey, honestly, I'd pick him up right now.
I just did.
Okay.
I just did.
Yeah. Who's the other guy you said you were going to start instead? Who are you thinking about? I think I like him more than Eifert.
I would agree with that. What I find interesting is, I was able to pick him up with no problem because I just moved David Njoku into the injured reserve spot. That now gives me 4 players on the injured reserve, Benny. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, if you get them, you might as well use them, right? You said that's a 5 IR league, right?
4 IR spots. I'm using.
All right, so you're filled. Yeah, so you're filled up. That's fine. That's good. That's not a bad thing.
Crazy. Oh, another thing, right quick. This thing with old boy AJ Green.
Yeah,
AJ Green is just talking. AJ Green should be back next week. If AJ Green should be back by week 5, no later than week 5. AJ Green should be on the field.
Really? That's the news you're getting?
Yes, AJ Green should be on the field by week 5. So,
all right. So listen, if that's the case, then you might want to try to pry him off the guy's hands who has him right now, because a lot of the news coming out was negative in that he might not be.
He's the walking boot has been shedding and all of that. AJ Green could very well be on the field week 5. Go ahead.
You know what though? I was right yesterday. He is in the last year of his contract.
Oh, he is. Yeah. So
yeah.
He wants a re-up.
Yep.
He gets on the field. You know what I'm saying? You got to play though, AJ, and you ain't played in about 3 years. Big piece of chicken, Benny. I got to give mine to the big homie, CC Sabathia, making his final appearance last night in the Boogie Down Bronx. Champion in 2009. Just been a great Yankee. You know what I'm saying? Had to struggle with alcohol, but he took his time and he came back. Always very friendly to the fantasy football community. You know what I'm saying? Going in the locker room with Scott back in the day doing Roto Experts at the park. CC Sabathia was always a cool guy. Also did a couple of charity events with CC Sabathia back a couple years ago. Always a mad cool cat. So a big piece of chicken goes to my man CC Sabathia.
That sucks because that's who I was going to actually give it to as well. So let me think about somebody who helped me yesterday.
He got enough weight to get to it.
Yeah, no, I'll give mine to Stephen Vogt, the catcher for the San Francisco Giants. Somebody who I mentioned on a live stream yesterday. Went yard in, I think, the first or the third inning. Real early in the game, he went yard to make me look good and was also plus 500 to hit a home run yesterday, and I had $50 on it. So
nice job,
thank you very much, Stephen Vogt, for putting some money in my pocket, buddy.
Fair money for Benny. All right. Getting ready to get up out of here. Be back Friday morning to go ahead and get you your final look at the week and wrap up Thursday Night Football. My main man, Benny, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.